Alrighty, greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. All right, hopefully you can hear me. Hello. How's everybody doing? Good to see you. I know it's starting a little bit late today. Smooth fade. Thanks, Osama. Thank you. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to take a break and go grab some coffee because I'm cooking up some coffee. But we can start the show at least. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Callin, and Z Place. Some people still call Twitter, but mostly call X now. Why? Why X? Anyways. But greetings all. Got mostly, well, some people here. Where is everybody? Come on. Osama, Victory, William. Is it because I posted the show late? I don't know. I think it's because the show is too early for a lot of people. People kind of tend to drift in about midpoint in the show and maybe later. Or is there any feed at all? I don't know. I don't see any reactions from anybody or comments. Is everything okay? Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? All right. Let's see. Anybody watching on Twitter? Maybe, maybe not. What's going on? Am I being just completely like... can everybody hear me? Is the first question, I guess. Because everything seemed to freeze up there for a second. All right, we're listening. Okay, good. Just making sure. I can never tell if anybody's watching on Twitter. I have to do a big celebration dance because I got like 2 followers on X. It's a weird place for me and like people actually following me there. I'll get a couple of followers and then a bunch of people unfollow me and then I'll get some followers and I'm not sure what's going on. I do know that I'm heavily suppressed on that platform. Like super suppressed. It's all good. Yeah, it's frustrating though because I can't seem to get traction there. No, I should actually post the show earlier. Something's in the water. That's my problem. Is that I was getting it together and then I realized like at 8:50 that I hadn't even posted the show, so that's probably why. Um, yeah, no, it kind of is frustrating because I can't seem to get a following going on X or whatever it is. It feels like a very YouTube experience to me. Like YouTube, well, YouTube just froze my whole thing like a year or two ago. They just froze everything. Like you're not getting any more followers, Jack. Like none. And we're lucky if we're lucky if we tell you got any views. Count yourself lucky that the numbers even say like 200 on your videos. Because we could put that to 0 if you like. That's probably what they'll, they're capable of it. They put my followers to 0 at YouTube, or they're not allowing me to get any more followers, like at all, ever, no way. There's just no possibility for me to grow my account there. It's very frustrating. It has nothing to do with my content. It has nothing to do with the way I talk. It has nothing to do with how I present my shows. Nothing at all on my end that I'm doing that is not allowing my channel to grow. Oh, hey, look at it. Hold on. Something's happening. Hold on, y'all. But who knows? All these platforms make me feel a little weird. I think, for the most part, Rockfin is pretty fun. They keeps it real. I think mostly on Rockfin. That's cool. I can't tell Colin. I can't really tell. Colin seems, I don't know, weird. Maybe like it's filled with bots on some level. There's a lot of bots and a lot of like fake people on Colin. But I see other channels that have lots of followers and listeners, and I don't know. Some days I have like 10 listeners on Colin, and some days I have 0. I can't really tell. I can't tell what's going on. Allison Frank says, internet is rigged, intentional. Read The Chaos Machine. We will blow your mind how they skew all the online info. All right. I mean, I'm a pretty conspiratorial person. I believe it. Sure. Here's what's frustrating is that it's the possibilities. Okay, I'm gonna have to go get some coffee, so I'm gonna leave you with some music for a second. Sorry to do this to you guys, but man, I need it right now. Be right back. Okay. All right. Take two. We're starting again. How you doing? No, it's not over. Oh, just yeah. Anyways, who knows? Anyways, we were talking about rigging of the internet. Oh, I was gonna say, well, there was a time years ago when they were actually trying to get people to get onto these platforms, and so they had the algorithms were set up to take you, to actually allow people to get, views and visibility and followers and all that kind of good stuff. But then it went in the other direction. And it seems like there are a lot of signals indicating some kind of imminent shutdown. I know, yeah. So brand new year. Let's start it off with some doom and some gloom, right? Man, I just saw a really great, like a documentary, but on the Grand Theft World on their last episode. What is the name of this documentary? It was basically a guy who was in finance, who saw that the system was in bad shape, 20 or 30 years ago, but was able to capitalize on his understanding of the situation to a great degree. But he's just saying, now he lives in Sweden on a farm, and he's basically saying, this is it. This is the end, like the end of the economy as we know it, which is not great news to hear, but good to know if you are, planning for the future. And the internet absolutely goes hand in hand. How they're this might be the end of the internet as we know it, as far as like being able to talk freely and do things freely online, or have some kind of agency online. The promise of the information highway, superhighway, at the beginning of the internet has been replaced by the promise of a digital gulag, right? Right. So it's supposed to be an information superhighway where everybody, everybody communicating, and everybody has access to all the information all the time, and able to freely, point to things happening, exchange ideas, et cetera, et cetera. However, as time has gone on, now people rely on the internet to do business, right? To exchange goods, services, and buy things. You don't buy things from a store anymore. You buy things on the internet. Now they're trying to make all the money happen on the internet. All the money's happening on the internet, and they're going to, eventually take away cash, and then all the money will be on the internet, and that will be the only way, right, to get your money, exchange money, or buy things. Even if you're buying things from a physical store, you will be using the internet money. That's the digital gulag. And, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said, well, that was the plan all along. Okay, yeah. Consider that the internet was created by the military, or people in those branches. DARPA. The internet started out as the ARPANET, as an extension of DARPA. So from the very beginning, you should have been suspicious. From the very beginning, you should have been suspicious, right? This thing was created from the military, by a military organization, by military minds. It was never, then they, pushed it out on the world and said, oh, it's going to be an information superhighway and it's going to lead to freedom and, bigger brains and people, the evolution of the human race, which it could still be, but we have to wrestle, it's an amazing technology. You have to wrestle it away from the people who created it and are controlling it. But yeah, if you thought it was going to be, freedom for humanity and it was created by DARPA in the beginning, well, should have known where this is going. Anyways, this documentary I watched is really quite frightening, extremely frightening, but also very eye-opening. And maybe I can find it. Hold on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find. Let's see if I can. If I can do it quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to have to search it and. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it quickly. Let's see. Yeah. Well, I will seek this out and I'll bring it to you tomorrow. Oh. But there are a lot of signs. So I like to view predictions with skepticism, at least a healthy amount of skepticism. But I also, when things look kind of obvious, it's good to just go, well, look, like a trend line on a temperature graph, or any other kind of any other thing like that. When you see an obvious trend line happening, the thing to do is go, look at there, look where it's going, right? And then just, so, I like to take, yeah, I did have 2 videos. I'll show it to you. I'll show you. That's what I was getting to. It's good to be skeptical of predictions, but also when there's an obvious some very, very obvious fat trend lines going, it's kind of not really wise to, unless you have some kind of insider information or inside scoop on something. It's really good to kind of, at least look at these obvious trend lines and understand where we're going, right? Well, here's the idea, and then, oh man, I'm going to find this video and I'll bring it to you tomorrow. I'll bring at least parts of it. But what this gentleman was saying is that there will be a banking crisis. The crisis will be so bad, people will be in a lot of pain. And the CBDCs will be offered as a way out of the pain. Right? Like pain as in, like, the banks will be closed, the ATMs will be closed, the money will be switched off. What as money will be switched off. And people will not be able to, get food. And they'll say, well, here, download this app from the Fed and we'll give you your Fed coin and you can get food. and everybody will be like, "Thank you," and then that'll be that, and then there won't be, cash will be outlawed. He was just saying it's going to be a very quick transition. So beware. Stay awake and stay ready, I guess. This is ridiculous. This is Al Gore on Jake Tapper. Talking about what climate change is going to look like and how we have. Well, he's still optimistic, this guy. The interwebs have trapped the humans, says Sean Kelly. Yeah, but the interwebs don't actually exist. And if the grid goes down, there is no interwebs, right? So there's also that. There's still ways to exchange goods and services outside of the internet, even if all we have is CBDCs. There's still ways to, people will, again, as I was saying, there will be a new economy, and other things will be exchanged as money, like, eggs or clothes or shoes or labor or whatever. You still have that.
What do you think 2024 will look like?
Well, we still have the ability to seize control of our destiny. Here's the good news, Jake. If we stop adding to the overburden of these greenhouse gas pollutants in the sky, if we reach what they call true net zero and stop adding to the heat trapping capacity up there,
the
temperatures will stop going up right away. And if we stay at true net zero, half of the human caused greenhouse pollution will fall out of the atmosphere in as little.
I got to stop it right there. Again, it's not, everybody thinks, oh, Al Gore's on TV talking about climate change. What a bunch of hooey. You're right, Kameshwari Kate. If we can't go outside of our homes, we can't exchange things. You're right. Al Gore made the interwebs. He did. So this is the conspiracy. I'm just going to outline it for you. If we get everything to zero, the temperatures will stop going up right away. That's the most anti-science thing ever. Right? It took decades and decades and decades to get the momentum, to get the amount of, carbon and other, to push these things to the point where it's actually, rearranging our habitat, of impacting our ability to grow food, et cetera. All these things where, oceans are pushing heat. It took a long time to get the momentum for some things to really start to get out of whack. But if we go to net zero, temperatures will stop going up immediately. Okay, dude, there's energy in the system. The energy that took decades to put into the system, into the oceans, and get going is not going to stop, if we get to net zero. I'm sorry. I mean, certainly there will be some benefits. If we stopped burning fossil fuels, there will be some benefits. But he's not actually talking about the aerosol masking effect on any level. Sure, there'll be some benefits if we stop burning. But there's a lot of energy already system. There's the latent heat effect, right? So I don't know how you're going to turn off the warming, because it took a lot of energy to get it going. It took a ton of energy. It took a long time and a lot of energy to get this warming going. You're not just going to turn it off by like, oh, well, we shut off the click. Yeah. So this is the conspiracy, is that they're just lying to you through their teeth about how it all works, how climate change even works. He's full of the bullshit. He's just full of shit because he's lying to you about how it works, how climate change actually works. He is giving you just some straight dookie on this. And it's unfortunate because he's on, national TV going, well, if we are to get to net zero, and what is net zero anyways? Net zero is some kind of, magical mathematical computation where it's like, well, we're offsetting the emissions over here with something we're doing over here, thusly registering zero net carbon emissions. Like that is some just bullshit magical equation that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't make sense. Yes, Chad Miano says there is inertia in the system. James Hansen said there's a future temperature rise already locked in. Right, James Hansen is a scientist who knows what he's talking about that people should listen to. Obviously, Al Gore isn't listening to James effing Hansen. Al Gore missed the memo on the heat already locked in. Heat continuing to rise no matter what we do. That's the truth of it. And that's what they don't want to tell you. Anyways, we'll go on with it. It's short enough.
Was 25 to 30 years. We have the ability to do this. And it's not impractical because we now have the cheapest new source of energy in the history of the world with solar electricity and wind electricity. And the electric vehicles reached 20% of sales globally this year. The batteries are now, we had one gigafactory several years ago. Now there are 200 and another 400 being built. A long time ago, one of the Saudi Arabian oil ministers said, we better remember the Stone Age didn't end because of a shortage of stones. It ended because something better came along. We've got something better now. We can do this if we just overcome the greed and political power of the big fossil fuel polluters who've been trying to control this process. It's time for people at the grassroots level in every country to speak up. And the good news.
Oh, grassroots. We're going to change this. The people need to speak up. Change it. The grassroots level. This is like the biggest amalgamation of just of trash political messaging.
That's happening too.
Anyways, whatever. That is absolutely bonkers ridiculous. Oh, and we have the technology to get to net zero. We have renewable, we're going to keep on, just growing and expanding and peopling. Yeah. And talking about the greed of the fossil fuel. We just got to overcome the greed of the fossil fuel companies. Boy, you're like this with the fossil fuel companies, Al Gore. You know this. And so that is the biggest load of, whatever. He's not even telling you that, to actually, bring down our energy footprint to live in a sustainable way means, greatly altering how we organize ourselves on the planet and how people live on a day-to-day basis, right? He's not saying anything like, well, what we all need to do is live something like an Amish lifestyle with a lot less energy. He's not saying that. So he's lying to you. Oh, no, we can have all the energy we need with these beautiful solar panels and wind and solar. He's a straight lying sack of shit, that guy. Oh, hi. Yeah, that's an immediate block. Yeah. Side hustle showing up in my YouTube chats. That's an immediate block, dude. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right. Can't even block you though on Rockfin. And that's annoying me. Rockfin changed something. I don't know. Anyways, side hustle, you're not welcome. All right. Anyways, let's let me see. Was there another video. Yes, there was another video. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is good. Chris Martinson posted this. Hey, Poppy, if you can get... Poppy, are you here? Poppy, can you hear me? Is Poppy in the chats? Oh, I guess I didn't see Poppy in the chats. Well, whenever Poppy shows up, I'll see if she has access to something. I don't know. Let's watch this. This is pretty good. Okay. Any moment. Any moment. Here we go.
I don't run to get ready for bikini season. I run so that in the year 2030, when I'm locked out of my electric car for having a bad social credit score, I can get outside the 15-minute city limits and escape the United Nations robocops that are after me for having a steak after I've reached my CO2 limit. I don't run to get ready for bikini season. I run so that in the year 2030, when I'm locked out of my electric car for having a bad social credit score, I can get outside the 15-minute city limits and escape the United Nations robocops that are after me for having a steak after I've reached my CO2 limit. I don't run to...
That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. All right. Those are the videos I wanted to show you. Let's go through a couple of things. Doomer Girl News included. Oh, well, this is the headline. Steph C says it's not a bad idea to be in shape to run away from a wildfire or tsunami or all kinds of things. Atmospheric river. Singapore's species extinction rate found to be 37% over the past 200 years. Included in that tally were approximately half of the island's native butterflies, 90% of its bird species, and approximately 2/5 of its bee species. Also, approximately 60% of its large mammals have disappeared, including tigers and leopards. Well, we're really good at getting rid of the large mammals. Stephen Donziger, U.S. judge in 2021. Golly, who's been president since 2021? Named Jessica Resnicek a terrorist and imposed a draconian 8-year prison term after she vandalized the Dakota Access Pipeline in a peaceful act of courage that harmed nobody. She's a climate hero and political prisoner. Biden, free her. And he does give a link where you can support her cause or her legal fight. But yeah, what they're doing, what she did to the Dakota Access Pipeline reminded me of Edward Abbey, the Edward Abbey Monkeywrench Gang, which is a really great book, by the way, and I encourage you all to read it. Here's a link for y'all. I'll drop this in the Rockfin chats too. And I'll drop it on the X. I'll drop it on the X chat too. What? Okay. I did post that on the X. People get upset if you try to take direct action. Of course, yeah. Well, also the Cop City protesters being labeled domestic terrorists and getting charged with the RICO Act. 2023, the warmest year on record by a large margin. large marge in. The planet is burning. We must stop burning fossil fuels. Meanwhile, governments and corporations spread false solutions that continue massive planetary destruction. Yeah, we could stop burning fossil fuels if we take it down about 18 notches. You know, the idea that we have to have all the things and do all the things and have all the things. This still doesn't show the decrease in aerosols from shipping desulfurization. This is Leon Simons. Clearest sign for increased warming is the increase in absorbed solar radiation. I'm sure James Hansen mentioned this to you. Why don't you cover this? He's talking to some other folks. Increase in absorbed solar radiation. Not just solar radiation. For all the, it's the sun. No, absorbed solar radiation. Steve Austin, now we're 15 years further into accelerating climate crisis. Ultimately, it's about food. And this is a graph of rice prices rise to a fresh 15-year high. Ah, what happened 15 years ago? I wonder what it was. 15 years ago, yeah, something was going on. Let me think about it. Let me think. Could have been a global Great Recession. Yeah, that happened 15 years ago. Prices of vital food, rice just surged to a fresh 15-year high. Thai white rice 5% broken an Asian benchmark. Climbed for a third straight week to reach $659 a ton. It's the highest since October 2008. Doomer Girl News, our findings reveal startling truth about the hidden dangers of nanoplastics in our environment. Yeah. All those really awesome, helpful, handy plastic items just taking thousands of years to break down into little tinier pieces of plastic, which keep on breaking down and breaking down into the environment. They not only disrupt soil microbial communities, but also facilitate the spread of antibiotic resistance. Might come back and look at that a little more. Florida, based on 76 interviews with professionals involved in climate responses in South Florida, they judged the region as a whole as being unprepared to support the retreat they see as inevitable, with a need for more ambitious long-term transition plan. Again, they're trying, Al Gore on the TV is trying to tell you, we got this, guys. What we need is more renewable energy, Black. But what he's not saying is, well, the sea levels are going to rise, and they're not going to stop rising. And all that real estate in South Florida is basically worth zero. A lot of insurance companies already understand it's worth zero. And if you can get a couple of, if you can still get kind of a market value for that property, I suggest you unload it and get the hell out, right? Because, the realization that's going to come either next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now is that it's worth zero. And it'll be worth zero. And then it'll be like, trying to find some high ground to get to. I don't know. And that's, hey, say that about a lot of places, right? Ventura in California, just north of here, just got hit by massive swells, which didn't do too much damage, but that's, the face of the future is that, these surges, storm surges, king tides, and swells are just going to get more massive and more massive and more massive. And they're going to start wiping out coastal properties. Billy Joe Schmo says the condos on the beach over the past 3 years have doubled in price. In New Smyrna Beach, Florida, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the housing bubble is still raging on, right? Housing prices are still going up. It doesn't really matter where you are. But that's a short-term gain. Well, so if you can flip a house in South Florida, it's, go for it if you got it like that. We're finding out rather quickly that all our infrastructure is maladapted, from Steve Austin. Eurostar cancellations leave thousands stranded. So I believe it was trains got swamped by flooding and could not. The Thames Tunnel was flooded. Let's see if we'll look at this a little bit. We'll come back and look at it. I believe the train tracks were flooded out, and so, but that's happening in a lot of places. New York City, one of the places. It's happened quite often over the last few years. That's the new normal. The new normal is, the subway's flooded again. The streets are flooded again in Miami. That's the new normal. The highway washed out in Hawaii and Oahu. That's the new normal. The crops couldn't grow again. It's a new normal. Leon Simons, 2023 finishing off with a bang. Extreme sea surface temperatures represent a lot of heat, which will keep increasing for months or years or decades as the oceans pour out the energy that was sunk into them over decades and decades and decades. Again, Al Gore not explaining this to people, which is criminal on some level. 2024 will present us with weather extremes which the globalized world has never seen. No one should downplay these risks. Yeah, well, on top of, and maybe in the, this is why all the elite planning is coming to fruition right now. Why the crash of the economy. The gentleman I was referring to earlier in this video, with the documentary on the financial system, said it's, absolutely an engineered over decades, an engineered crash over decades. All of this coincides with, an imminent failure of the ecosystem to provide, food for 8 billion people on the planet. Is it a coincidence? I say no coincidence. This is happening right around the time when food systems and weather systems and our earth systems will start failing. They know this, and they want to make sure that they stay in control as everything goes out of control. And Nico House, Bibi's Israeli. His real name is Milikowski. All the leaders in Israel are not actually from Israel. They're from somewhere else, which is an interesting phenomenon when you talk about the occupation, colonization of a place where you're not supposed to be. His grandparents are from Lithuania, Poland, and Belarus. That's what they tell me. This guy gets in the sun and he cooks because he ain't nothing but a white genocidal crook. Are planned catastrophes considered free market? Asks Victory Jen. And nope. Don't think so. Don't think so. Let's watch this real quick and we'll go back and look at some other things. Mm-hmm. They're for everywhere but there. What? The true origins of Israeli leaders who believe they have the right to genocide native Palestinians and take their land. Seems kind of like a global cartel. Whoa. Worth Zero says Al Gore has been sounding the alarm for years. Why is he now the bad guy? Because Al Gore is not being honest. I think that's why he's the bad guy. And he is also profiting. He has some huge financial stakes in, green energy companies. Did you see Planet of the Humans? I don't know if you've watched Planet of the Humans, Worth Zero. John House, not been able to tip for a while, so thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate you, John House. Tip me 20 schmackers on the rock fins. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I thought Al Gore was, I don't know, sounding the alarm, and I took his word that, we were heading into a bad place. But he also, I mean, he at a time when he was almost president, and he rolled over for something bigger. Can't really go into what that is now, but he rolled over when they said, you're not going to be president. He was like, oh, okay. I don't know what was involved in that, but he seemed to be like, yeah, that's fine. Anyways, he doesn't tell the truth about what's really going on with climate change. And that video was just full of nonsense. I mean, that was just insane. Oh, if we stop emissions, it will, everything will stop. The temperatures will stop rising, and everything will be fine. If we just, or he didn't even say stop emissions. He didn't even say stop emissions. He said net zero. If we get to net zero, so the whole net zero thing is like, no, well, yeah, we gotta bring down the emissions, but we also, if we counteract the emissions over here, we can have some we need some essential emissions over here. It's not, net zero isn't even like, and he's just everything he's saying about it is, I don't think, helpful. I mean, our climate heroes might be climate villains in reality, unfortunately. Where was I going next? Let's see. Let's go to Florida. We'll go to this one on Florida. Based on 76 interviews with professionals involved in climate responses in South Florida, they judged the region as a whole as being unprepared. Okay, we'll look at this for a second. Oh, by the way, as we were talking about tips, guys, this is really a good time to support the Black Bear News. As things are getting critical, yeah, so I don't, I don't know if y'all know, but I do some Lyft driving because that's what I'm doing to make the money. But on New Year's Eve, the Lyft app just completely like freaked out, and nobody who was driving for Lyft got paid. So, and still have not been paid 3 days later. So it's getting tight. Yeah, I don't even know what's going on with that. That was crazy. That was nuts. The busiest day of the year, and the Lyft app took a big dump and dumped on the drivers, right? People were still able to spend their money and buy a Lyft ride. Right? They took in all the money and they were fine with that, but somehow they just couldn't pay the drivers. I have a suspicion that something else is going on there. I have a suspicion something else is going on there. And I don't want to be right. I want it to just be a glitch. I really do. Yeah, some shady accounts payable action. Yeah, indeed. I don't want to be super I don't want to be super duper paranoid, but I feel like something else is going on that's tied to the larger economic problems. It's not even go do some busking. Yeah, it's just that easy. Something is going on there. That I feel is tied to a larger. I could go deeper into it, but I won't. Anyways, the ways that you can support the show, and I bring the show to you for free 99 every day, is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews, Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom. You can Zelle me at kevinsandbloom@protonmail.com. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully they'll iron this out, and I will not. Yeah, Salt Lakers. I've done plenty of busking in my life, and it's not a busking opportunity for me. So it's just not. Don't know how to explain it, but. Or I do know how to explain it. It's just not my bag. Um, it's the dance monkey chick. What? Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, if today is a really great day to support the Black Bear News. Is all I'm trying to tell you. No, I appreciate the suggestion. I'm not mad at the suggestion. Salt Lakers, I'm not mad at the suggestion. I'm just saying it's not necessarily something that's just easily done or yeah. Okay. We're looking at this in Florida, and then I will leave you all to your own devices. Here we go. New study examines perspectives from South Florida practitioners. Study led by researchers at the University of Miami Rosenstiel School of Marine, Atmospheric, and Earth Science assess the perspectives of 76 diverse South Florida climate adaptation professionals. Excuse me. The study, titled Practitioner Perspectives on Climate Mobilities in South Florida, was published in the December issue of the journal Oxford Open Climate Change, and explores the expectations and concerns of practitioners from the private sector, community-based organizations, and government agencies about the region's ability to adapt in the face of increasing sea level rise and diverse consequences for where people live and move, also known as climate mobility. The study is a deep dive aiming to understand the perspectives of leading experts on where we are right now in our climate responses in South Florida. While recognizing the necessity of climate mobility strategies, the interviewed practitioners expressed concerns regarding the current impact of such movements. Findings illuminated a critical gap between individual preparedness among practitioners and the overall readiness of the region to support and manage the expected climate-driven relocations. The discrepancy raises concerns about collective action failures and the urgency for more ambitious long-term transition plan. Al Gore and all the folks in charge of the economy, they don't really want you to know about this. They want you to be completely sideswiped by a climate emergency. It's good. That's good for profits, and they don't really care if you get jackhammered by a wave. Perform one of your best songs on YouTube, and I will give you $100. Salt Lakers says, okay. Hey, you know what? I will take that challenge. Are you talking about right here, or are you talking about just going on YouTube on another stream? I don't know. Anyways, I am on YouTube right now. I understand that. So, but that's a challenge I'll accept. Is Lyft targeting dissidents? I don't think so. No, it was a nationwide snafu, they say, or so it was like, yeah, it was all over. It was actually talked about, not really to the extent that I thought it would be, because it affected pretty much all the drivers, as far as I could tell. You said in the next week, Salt Lickers? All right. I'll do it. Shoot, I'll do it tomorrow. Plug in the amp. Okay. Tim Bob says cracking down on drivers gaming multiple accounts. Don't know if I'm going to do it today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Hard to freeze. Had to freeze to run analysis. Is that? I mean, maybe. I actually watched that Uber documentary, and they were talking about that. In some places, drivers were gaming, had like multiple accounts on. I don't know how they actually were doing that, but somehow they were running multiple apps on different phones and gaming the thing. But I don't know if that maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was, but man, that really messed people up. And they are actually are messing. They're still messing up because it's Wednesday, and they still haven't figured out what's what. And I don't know. It's not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. Maybe I'll play you guys a song tomorrow. Let me think about something good to play. Actually, yeah, I got something for you. I'll bring you a song tomorrow. Okay. I'm gonna sign off now. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And every day on these here interwebs, on the ARPANET, the DARPANET, Salt Laker says, do a standalone video of your song so that it may get triggered. I actually post quite a few things on Instagram. I do a daily loop. I post songs on Instagram if you want to follow me at my name on Instagram at Kevin Samblin. You can follow me there. There's lots of performance videos of me if you are interested in such things. Do a short, says Deline. All right, you guys are on it. You guys are giving me the good suggestions. Maybe I'll do something like that. We shall see. All right. Guys, thanks for hanging. Bella says do along. Do along. Do a short, do along. I don't know. Guys, I'll cook up something for you. I promise I'll cook up something for you tomorrow. Whether it's just a video on YouTube or on Instagram or something, or whether it's something on the show, I'll do something for you, all right? No, it's not a bad idea at all. All right. I mean, I do plenty of that stuff already, is what I'm saying. I just don't do it. I don't do it on YouTube that much, but on Instagram I do. And sometimes and I also post some to TikTok. I post some to Facebook. So if you follow me on any of those platforms, you can actually find lots of music. But all right, people. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. And until next time, peace.